They called Leo the lover boy of Verona Heights. Handsome, reckless, a smile that could convince the devil himself to repent. But beneath the charm, Leo was hollow, stitched together by secrets he never spoke of, carrying a pain so heavy that even love could barely lighten it. Then he met Mira. Mira wasn't like the others. She saw right through him. She wasn't blinded by the leather jacket, the lazy grin, or the dangerous glint in his eyes. She spoke to the broken boy behind the legend. And Leo, for the first time, wanted to be seen, wanted to stay. They became inseparable, two meteors destined to collide. But Leo had a secret, one that howled inside him every night. He wasn't just Verona's golden boy. He was working for Vincent Cross, the town's most feared underground boss, running debts, carrying messages that ended in blood, doing things he could never let Mira know about. And Cross didn't take kindly to distractions. One night, after stealing a file he wasn't supposed to touch, something that could finally destroy Cross's empire, Leo made a decision. He would run. He would take Mira and vanish into a new life, far from Verona Heights and the sins he couldn't wash away. They met at the old train station under a sky heavy with storm clouds. Mira was breathless, her hands clutching nothing but hope. "Are you sure?" she whispered. Leo kissed her forehead, trembling. "I've never been more sure of anything." The train rumbled in the distance, a promise, an escape. But then, headlights, black cars, footsteps pounding against gravel. Cross's men. Leo shoved the file into Mira's coat and whispered, "Run. No matter what happens to me, run." She screamed for him to come with her. He smiled that same lazy, heart-shattering smile. "I'm tired of running." The shots rang out like fireworks as the train screeched into the station. Mira ran. She didn't look back. She couldn't. Not even when the world behind her shattered. By the time she reached the other side of the city, breathless and sobbing, she knew Leo hadn't made it. His blood had paid for her freedom. Inside her coat, still warm from his touch, was the file that would bring Cross down. But no amount of justice could bring Leo back. Months passed. Mira changed her name, cut her hair, learned to shoot. The file Leo had died for burned like a secret in her chest. It named names, politicians, police chiefs, judges. Cross had his claws deep into everything. Exposing him wouldn't be easy. It would be war, and Mira was ready for war. One rainy night, with the file in a stolen briefcase, she walked into the police headquarters. She expected honor, justice, maybe even gratitude. Instead, she found betrayal. The chief, smiling politely, closed the file and slid it back to her. "You shouldn't have come here, Miss Lane," he said quietly. "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." That's when she understood. Cross owned them all. There would be no cavalry coming, no saving grace, only herself. Mira disappeared underground, working with outlaws, thieves, anyone who hated Cross as much as she did. Slowly, ruthlessly, she destroyed his empire piece by piece, torching warehouses, leaking documents, leaving messages written in blood. Verona Heights started to rot from within, the power structures collapsing like a house of cards. And every time she struck a blow, she whispered Leo's name. "This is for you." One night, after an ambush that left Cross's second-in-command bleeding out on the marble steps of City Hall, Mira found something she hadn't expected. A message, scrawled on a torn piece of napkin, left exactly where Leo used to wait for her by the station. "You think you know everything. You don't. L." Her heart stopped. Leo. Impossible. She had seen him fall, heard the gunfire, felt the earth shake with the weight of his death. But the note was real. The signature was his. The way he used to sign love notes, just an initial, like a secret only she understood. Was it a trick, a trap, or had Leo survived, hidden, bleeding somewhere in the shadows? Mira had no choice. She followed the breadcrumbs he left. Old haunts, abandoned places, coded songs playing on radios late at night. And finally, she found him. In a ruined church on the outskirts of the city, lit only by candles. Leo was alive, broken, battered, twisted by months of hiding and fighting, but alive. His smile was different now, heavier, haunted. "I told you I was fragile," he rasped, stepping from the dark. "But you were always the strong one." Mira ran to him, tears cutting tracks down her face. She touched his face, disbelieving. "Why didn't you come for me?" she whispered. Leo shook his head, shame burning in his eyes. "Cross would have used you to break me. I had to disappear. I had to make you hate me. Or you'd never have lived long enough to see this night." Mira wanted to scream, to hit him, to kiss him until the world shattered around them. Instead, she just said, "Then let's finish this. Together." And side by side, two ghosts of a love that had refused to die, they went to burn the empire down. The final night was a storm of blood and fire. Leo and Mira spent days plotting their move. The last piece was simple. Vincent Cross would be at his private club, surrounded by his men, sure of his untouchable power. They would end it. Together. The plan was brutal, but brilliant. Fire from all sides, chaos unleashed like a pack of wolves. Mira moved through the corridors like a ghost, pistol in hand, heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear the gunfire. Leo was somewhere nearby, a whisper in the dark, taking down guards with the cold rage of a man who had already died once. Finally, they reached the great hall. Cross stood there, laughing, cigar in hand, flanked by men in black suits. He clapped when he saw them, mockingly, as if this was all just entertainment. "You think killing me will fix you," he sneered. "You think love can survive the things you've done?" Mira raised her gun, hands steady. Leo stepped forward, but Cross had been prepared. A shot cracked through the hall. Mira gasped, not because she was hit, but because Leo stumbled in front of her, blood blooming from his chest like a terrible, beautiful rose. He had thrown himself between her and the bullet. He fell to his knees, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent apology. "Leo," she whispered, dropping beside him, catching him as he collapsed. He smiled, bloody and broken. "Told you. Fragile." She kissed his forehead, sobbing, pressing her hand to the wound, trying to hold him together, trying to keep him from slipping away. "Stay with me, please. Stay." But Leo's hand found hers, squeezing weakly. "You have to finish it," he whispered. "Or this, all of this, means nothing." Mira turned her head slowly, face wet with grief, and pulled the trigger. One shot, straight into Cross's heart. The old man staggered, stunned, and fell backward into the fire that had started to devour the building. Leo died in Mira's arms, under a sky full of smoke and falling stars. She stayed with him until the flames forced her to run. She survived. She exposed everything: the file, the corruption, the blood that had soaked the foundations of Verona Heights. Cross's empire crumbled. But there was no victory. There was no homecoming. Only the memory of a boy with a crooked smile who had loved her enough to die for her. Years later, if you walked past the ruins of the old train station, you might find a small shrine, a glass heart pendant, cracked but still shining, a letter weighted by stones, and the words carved into the wall. Some love stories don't end. They echo. And if the wind was right, you might even hear her voice. "I still love you, Leo. Always."